Hi, my name is Lisa Richter. I'm the Director of Industry Outreach and Growth for CSIA. Welcome to the Masterclass. Before we get started, a quick word about CSIA. Probably most of you here today are familiar with the association, but if you are not, all you really need to know is that CSIA's mission is to help SIs build better businesses. How do we do that? Well, for starters, we have a team of volunteer SIs who have crowdsourced a best practices manual to help SIs scale their businesses. In fact, the BP committee regularly reviews and updates the manual, and it is currently on its sixth edition with plans to get started on the next version already underway. For those companies that want to take the best practices to the next level, CSIA also offers a certification program that includes a third-party audit. Many companies find that this audit is extremely helpful for helping them to understand their businesses and to scale. With thousands of qualified integrators and suppliers, the CSIA Industrial Automation Exchange helps SIs, industry suppliers, and manufacturers connect and do business. For SIs and partners, it provides a platform to support your content and SEO marketing efforts, position yourself as a thought leader, and nurture prospects during their complicated buyer's journey. If you are not currently a member, now is a great time to join. Membership provides you and your entire team a full lineup of virtual events and other resources from accounting to sales to operations to training 365 days per year. It also means you and your team can attend the CSIA conference because this annual in person event is members only. If you are currently a member, thank you. And please keep your eye out for your renewal notice. Those have been going out in the past couple of weeks, and we want to make sure you stay with the CSIA community. If you want to just get a flavor of CSIA and its members, I encourage you to listen to the Talking Industrial Automation podcast. CSIA members talk all things industrial automation, and it's just a great way to hear what your peers are up to. Couple of housekeeping notes before I turn it over to today's speakers. If you have any questions during the presentation, please use the Q&A feature in Zoom. That helps us stay organized. I also ask that you please turn off any automatic note-taking applications. Those are against CSIA's policy at this time. Thank you for understanding. That being said, the session is being recorded and you will get a link to the recording in the next day or so. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to today's speakers. Take it away, guys.
Thank you, Lisa. Really appreciate that. Let me share my screen here and we'll get going. All right. So my name is Tyson Heisner. My colleague is Dan Jorstad, and we're really excited to be here today. So over the past few months, we've had a lot of really great conversations with CSIA members, and one thing seems to be really clear, that there's a lot of interest around this topic. And if your company wants to grow faster, make more money, and compete with big companies when it comes to talent, benefits, HR, and compliance, then you're in the right place. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So what we're going to be covering today is what a PEO is, how it works, how a PEO can benefit your business, an overview of Insperity, and things to consider when partnering with a PEO. So what is a PEO? PEO stands for Professional Employer Organization, and the industry has been around in existence for about 40 years. A PEO is a company that handles HR functions like employment administration, payroll, workers' comp, benefits, and compliance for small and mid-sized companies. All that stuff that a lot of companies don't really want to do, they just have to because they have employees. So think of a PEO as kind of an extension of your team, but without adding extra headcount onto your payroll. So as a PEO, we're able to pool tens of thousands of our business clients into one large pool, and then we leverage our economies of scale to deliver health benefits and a ton of HR resources at a lower cost than you could ever do on your own. As an example, Insperity has about 350,000 member lives within our pool. So that's a huge buying power that we get to take to market for our clients. So just some of the many things included in a PEO solution are access to big company benefits to attract and retain that top talent, a very discounted workers' compensation insurance. You have access to a full team of seasoned professional HR people wherever you need them and whenever you need them. Training and development resources. We have over 20,000 online courses, ebooks, and videos for our clients to be able to leverage and use to help upskill their employees. And then access to robust performance management tools and resources. So a PEO is able to provide all of this because of something called a co-employment relationship. So this co-employment partnership and how this thing works is simply an IRS designation for the type of partnership we have with a business. Okay. You as the owner still maintain complete control of day-to-day operations of the business, who you fire, who you hire, etc., and all the day-to-day operations and business strategy. We are just putting in a secondary employment relationship with your employees so that we can pool all of these resources all together. So the PEO is actually the employer of record for administrative purposes like tax filing, and just acts as that extension of your team so that they can take on those time sapping stuff like HR administration, payroll, benefit, and compliance. And then the really cool thing that clients really like when they are in the relationship is we're actually sharing or removing a lot of the risk that you have as being an employer when you employ people. Things like employer-related liability, like lawsuits or work comp resolution, tax filings, those things. We take over that risk away from companies. So it's a huge risk mitigation advantage. Okay, so I'm a visual learner, and I also like analogies. So here's an analogy that will help illustrate what a PEO is and how we work shoulder to shoulder with our clients. So a PEO is like a co-pilot for your business journey. So running a business is like flying a plane. You're the pilot steering towards growth, but a PEO acts as your co-pilot. The PEO handles navigation through complex HR, compliance, benefits, and a very benefit turbulent environment. So you can keep your eye on the horizon, otherwise known as growth and profitability. Those things that you're really invested in working towards as a business owner. And I can tell you that this has been a very rough year in the world of benefits. So that benefit turbulence, a lot of companies this year, and you're probably experiencing this yourself, is seeing really high cost escalations. A lot of companies are seeing the highest healthcare increase they've seen in the last 15 years. So we have seen, Dan and I have actually had a lot of companies come talk to us in this area recently to get some relief. So hopefully that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea that and help you visualize what the concept of a PEO is. And so that leads us into the kind of the next topic, which is how a PEO can actually help your business. So we've got a list here of about 10 items. There are a ton of different areas that we help companies in all shapes and sizes. We're working with companies that are anywhere from 5 employees all the way up to 5,000. But number one, you're going to spend less time on HR paperwork and more time on that revenue and strategy for your business, moving it further faster. Number two, we're going to be able to give your employees access to better health plans, retirement options, and perks that save money long term. Number three, you're going to have accurate, on-time payroll and tax filings handled for you. Number four, you're going to avoid fines and headaches by keeping up with challenging labor laws and regulations. Number five, we're going to help protect your business from costly lawsuits and liability issues. Number six, you're going to have access to those seasoned professionals for advice on policies, employee relations, best practices. You just never know when an employee relation issue will pop up. As we all know, employees are your greatest asset and also your biggest liability. So number seven, there's tools that support you to attract that top talent and keep your best people happy. And eight, we're going to actually help provide you a smooth professional process to bringing new hires on board. And number 10, you can have those better benefits, clearer policies, and reliable support to improve your employee morale and retention. And then lastly, scaling is a big thing for a lot of the companies that we talk to. And you're going to have HR solutions that expand your business needs. All right, so after going through a lot of the advantages gained by working with a PEO, hopefully we've kind of set the stage for y'all to kind of give you an idea and concept of this. We thought we'd next share some PEO statistics to kind of help show how a PEO actually quantifies and helps businesses in this aspect. So businesses that partner with a PEO will often grow 9 times faster than those that don't. They'll experience 12% less turnover. We all know turnover is extremely expensive if you are actually quantifying what it costs to recruit, train, and develop employees, and are 50% less likely to go out of business. So that's part of what a PEO is doing, is they're mitigating that risk and they're protecting your business. And then obviously when you're able to focus on growing your business, you're less likely to go out of business. And then companies save an average of 21% on administrative costs versus managing that payroll and HR compliance internally. So 30% faster new hire onboarding experience. It's a really slick, smooth onboarding that seems to be a much easier way than most. And then lastly, or I'm sorry, on average, companies are 16% more profitable as well. And then there's a quantified amount here that says they will save an average of $1,775 per employee per year. So to put that in context, if that is a 15-person company, that's about $27,000 of savings. All right, so now that you got a better grasp of what a PEO is, we thought we'd dive into a little bit about Insperity, as that's the company that Dan and I both represent and work for. So we take a lot of pride in helping local businesses. In fact, our mission statement prior to this, we had a mission statement that could fill almost an entire page. And what happened? Nobody could remember it. So a little pro tip for anybody out there, if you have a really long mission statement, cut it down. It needs to be short, and then you can really rally your troops and people around it. So across our organization, when we made that small change, it really made a huge difference in everybody being aligned and being motivated and really rallying behind this. Because we're in 100 offices across the country. So that will tell you a little bit about just some facts about Insperity. We were founded 40 years ago from our CEO and still chairman today. And Paul was a lot like all of you out there. He was a bootstrapped entrepreneur. He started a couple businesses that were not successful, and he realized what he couldn't get right was the people aspect. He needed help in this area. So many companies focus on those core pillars of sales and marketing, finance, operations, and then they forget about the people strategy. And so he recognized this need in the marketplace, and that's what drove him to start this company in April, it'll be 40 years. And it's now a publicly traded billion-dollar company. He pioneered this PEO space, and we have been considered the benchmark in this industry ever since. And we work with 100,000 small and mid-sized businesses across the country. We went public in 97 with no debt on the books, purely to provide transparency in this critical industry where there are a lot of players that are handling things like payroll administration and things that are really really important and you don't want to mess up. So try to legitimize and raise the bar in this industry. We are a certified PEO, and that's the gold seal of trust by the IRS for financial responsibility and success. So it's a really big deal and indication. And then we constantly are voted a best place to work um, across the across the country. So our entire solution was built to help small businesses succeed, though. So I appreciate you all listening to what I had to share today. Now I'm going to hand it over to Dan, and Dan's going to walk us through an overview of the Insperity PEO solution.
Thank you, Tyson. Hi, everybody. I'm Dan Jorstad. In my picture that you saw in our profiles, I did not have facial hair, so I am that person. But I got through No Shave November, so I'm deciding whether to keep it or not. Lisa, before I jump in, was there a question or two that we wanted to address now, or should we save it for Q&A?
Let's go ahead and do it now. I think this goes back to the beginning of Tyson's bit where he was talking about the benefits. And the question is, would those benefits be available to regular employees?
So I guess we need to know if when they say regular employees, if that means full-time or part-time. So the one designation is that they have to be W-2'd employees for them to work in our model. We have solutions that help our clients with contractors or 1099 workers, but when we're talking about those benefits, and I think that's probably what they're referring to, they would have to be W-2'd employees. And we have a lot of benefits that are for all employees, part-time and full-time, but then specifically full-time employees we designate as 30 hours or more that would have things like medical, dental, and vision that part-time employees wouldn't have access to.
Yeah, he's confirming it's full W-2. So I think you addressed that. I mean, while we're going with it, here's another question. What is the minimum size company where it makes sense to engage a PEO?
Great question. So we will have a conversation with anyone. I think it is always clear that a conversation really is very thought-provoking. And if it's not the right time, it gives that company different ideas about their business and kind of things to think about. We really try to be business advisors when we're meeting with companies. But kind of the minimum usually is about 5 employees, unless you have immediate plans to add additional headcount. Yeah, we've worked with companies that are 3 employees are going to be adding some. Yeah.
Okay. Those appear to be the questions for now. We will wait until the end with the rest of the questions. Everybody, if you want to pop them into the chat, that's fine, or pop them in the Q&A. But I am going to turn it back over to Dan to do his bit. So, see you in a few.
Thanks. Thanks, Lisa. All right. Well, let's talk about HR 360. So HR 360 is Insperity's end-to-end PEO solution. Really from onboarding to compliance and everything in between, we support every step of the employee lifecycle. I'll dive a little bit deeper into each of the different pieces of the solution. Starting with, Tyson, you can go to the next slide. Starting with recruiting, right? It all starts with hiring the right people. So we'll help make sure you find the right person to fill your open position the first time around. You'll still source your talent, and we'll work with you to review your current recruiting process, make recommendations on how to improve it, help write job descriptions, provide interview guidance, salary benchmarking, and guidance in new markets that you're expanding into. Excuse me. And then, if need be, help with transitioning out employees as well. But really supporting everything from a recruiting standpoint. Can move to the next slide. Everybody knows that when your employees are happy and engaged, good things happen. This is a study by Gallup, obviously a well-known consulting and analytics company. And it just validates the fact that when your employees are engaged and when they're happy, they show up to work a lot more, they're more productive, it has a significant impact on the bottom line. And this is a big challenge that we're talking to a lot of businesses of all sizes about today. So I thought I'd spend a little bit of time talking about how we're helping our clients keep their employees happy and engaged. So we'll help make sure all of your employees have the skills and the knowledge they need to be successful in their respective roles. HR 360 includes an extensive library of over, it's now, like, Tyson, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's like 6,500 courses, videos, and ebooks.
Yeah, collectively there's over 20,000.
Yeah, I mean, okay, a lot. And subjects like leadership skills, Microsoft Office, AI, cybersecurity, collaboration, you name it, and it's in there. And all of these assets are either self-paced, there's some that are instructor-led, some are live and virtual. I came to Insperity from the content space, and the cost for one class, one course alone, averages around $50 per employee. So for a 10-employee business, that's $500. All of these courses in the library are included in the solution at no additional cost. So you can imagine, if you quantified, we'll help some clients build a curriculum for either the whole organization or part of the organization, and then launch those courses over the period of, say, 2026. That would be an extremely expensive project to take on. But with us, it's included in HR 360. We can move to the next slide, Tyson. And then we'll help make sure that you build a culture, you have a culture where employees are excited to come to work each day and want to work harder for you while they're there. You'll get the tools and support you need to communicate goals and evaluate your employee performance, things like performance appraisals, rewards and recognition programs, climate surveys. We do those assessments, both skills-based and cognitive. And again, help writing clear and effective job descriptions so you're getting the best candidates applying to those jobs and filling those jobs with the right people. Payroll, it's not sexy, right? But we know it's really, really important. If your payroll isn't on time and accurate, it's a problem. We have a 99.9% payroll accuracy. Every customer has a dedicated payroll specialist who our clients talk to on a regular basis and who is accessible and responsive. Your employees have 24/7 access to their payroll info and PTO and everything else that we're talking about today, all in the platform and via mobile. And we handle all, excuse me, we handle all payroll tax filing. And as a CPO, Tyson mentioned this being, us being a certified PEO, we're accountable should there be any mistakes on your tax filings. That cannot be said of a non-certified PEO, just a standard PEO. So just one of the things you'll want to ask if you're exploring a move to a PEO. Benefits. We could spend days on this, but this is a big driver for why a lot of businesses came to Insperity to begin with. Just a phenomenal part of our solution. The cost of benefits are rising. It's a huge challenge for not only small businesses, but really businesses of all sizes. As Tyson mentioned, we're talking to businesses that are seeing double-digit, 25, 30 plus percent increases. That's painful and not easy to sustain. So with Insperity, you'll have access to, I call them big company benefits, to attract and retain the top talent that you need. These are the same type of robust benefits that, a Target employee or Anheuser-Busch employee, and, we're in St. Louis. So Anheuser-Busch employee gets. We are one of United Healthcare's top 5 largest groups now, just behind Walmart, as a matter of fact. We have a direct agreement with United Healthcare. Benefits are a 100% pass through to our customers. There is no markup. Um, and now, as Tyson mentioned, also you're part of a group of 350, I think, thousand now members versus a broker or an agent shopping you around to different carriers as a group of 10 or 40 or even 50 employees. It's just a much better place to be, and you're insulated as well. Our renewals tend to be 3 to 4 percentage points below the market. And, we don't think just short term, like, okay, well, that's great. I'm going to save maybe 4% this year with Insperity. But we also map that out over 5 years. And if you've got 20, 30, 40 plus employees, and there's a 4% increase year over year for 5 years, that is significant. So we're able to contain those costs again because of our size and because you're now part of a much larger group and you're insulated from those wild swings. Excuse me. And I'm fighting a little bit of a cough, folks, so apologize for that. When we talk about benefits too, it not only includes, medical, dental, and vision, it also includes life and accidental death and dismemberment, adoption assistance. We adopted my oldest daughter. I wish I would have had this at the time. It reimburses up to $5,000 for adoption. That was expensive. But what a incredible benefit. And our founder also adopted a child. So this is very near and dear to his heart. Health advocate program. So someone to call and reach out to help with provider searches. Like I need a dentist, or I need a physical therapist, or I need help with resolving this claim. Most folks do not know how to navigate the healthcare world and get the answers and resolutions to the problems that come with seeing a doctor or having a surgery. I just had back surgery in July. There were 15 different people involved in it that I was communicating with. It was overwhelming. So that's what the health advocate does for you. Employee assistance program for support on a lot of different levels. For those of you that live in areas where commuter benefits, we have a commuter benefits program to help with that. A perks program, and employee perks is a discount program for any purchases that you're going to be making. So there will be discounts out there for travel or for gym memberships. I mean, you name it, it's out there. So anytime I go to make a major purchase, I always go to the perks website to see if I can save some money. Just a really great program. And a plus, something else, again, to keep your employees engaged and happy, and they'll love the perks program. And then wellness programs, and we have 5 different types: mental wellness, social, physical, financial, and professional. So just an enormous amount of support for your employees. With regards to HR-related compliance, we'll help make sure you're up to date and in compliance with any state or federal regulation that applies to you as it relates to being an employer. Our job is, and the beauty of the co-employment relationship is, our job is to help protect your business because we have skin in the game, right? We're taking on a lot of the risks that you as the employer carry today. We already operate in all 50 states, so we're proactive, where most businesses are reactive. And just a quick story, I have a client here in St. Louis who is a mortgage tech company. The VP of operations and the CFO were handling all the HR and payroll and compliance related responsibilities when they really wanted to focus on growth and focus on developing their employees. They have employees spread across the US, and they have no HR or compliance expertise whatsoever. So the VP of operations was literally Googling compliance in the state of New York because they had to term an employee there. Unfortunately, they got it wrong, and they had to pay a $17,000 fine for not going through the proper process for terminating that employee. So, ouch. So, we are now partnering with them, and mission accomplished. They're growing really aggressively, and we're handling all of the blocking and tackling so they can focus on growing. Um, in terms of employer liability management, again, we're going to help manage your employer-related liability to the lowest possible level. Things like helping with employee lawsuits, wrongful termination. Again, I just spoke to that. Harassment, having updated employee handbooks in place that protect the business. You may have one today. It may or may not have been done, maybe the best way, but we'll review it. It's one of the first things we do when clients come on board is we take your employee, we look at your policies and procedures. We'll review your employee handbooks, make sure that they're all um, up to speed, if you will, and compliant, and that they're protecting the business. We help with work comp claims and resolution of those claims, and handle mandatory, we'll offer mandatory trainings for employees, things like harassment and infosec. We go through a lot of mandatory trainings here at Insperity, again, to protect the company and protect ourselves and the information that comes and goes. So I'll talk a little bit about our solution in terms of it's comprised of two things. It's really simple, but it's pretty amazing, and one of the reasons why I came here. Our solution is really a combination of two things. One is, and first and foremost, is high-touch human support. Very different from, I worked at a competitive PEO years ago. Very different approaches to customer service. I personally absolutely just hate the experience where I'm trying to get a hold of somebody and I need help, and I get somebody's voicemail, and then I get transferred, or I get transferred to somebody else because I'm not talking to the right person, or I have to submit a case and wait 3 days or 7 days to hear back from somebody. We don't do that. Okay. We provide a dedicated team of subject matter experts to support your business every day. Really an extension of your own team. So subject matter experts in payroll and benefits and HR, safety, although safety might not apply to you guys quite as much. And the team scales as you continue to grow. They're accessible, meaning you'll have their email, you'll have their work phone, you'll have their cell phone. Some of these folks you'll talk to on a daily basis. Payroll specialists are very popular people. HR specialists also as well. And it's really they're available and accessible, and you can use them as often as you need. But we also take a very proactive approach. So one of the other things we do when a client comes on board is we'll sit down with you. We're doing this now with a lot of clients that are starting January 1st. And we will get a good understanding of kind of what your goals are for 2026. And we'll work with you to put a plan together, whether that's performance reviews or pulse surveys or assessments or goals, anything like that. And then we'll help implement and help you execute that plan throughout the year. So a lot of really neat things that this team does for you, but they're there to support you every day. And then the
Hey,
other
Dan,
part,
one thing.
oh, sorry.
Sorry, I was just going to add one thing is that this team that you all see on the screen, this is kind of like the front lines. So if you have a kind of a football analogy, this is like the offensive line. They're doing the blocking and tackling. There are hundreds of people behind them that are supporting them in areas of all things human capital. So it's really important, and the gravity of what the resources that our clients have access to and the expertise. A very common story that we hear from a lot of the clients that we work with, or companies that we talk to, is that they will often, if they have someone that is handling the HR functions of the business, a lot of times in a labor a situation where a lot of HR professionals are hopping around and jumping, that is very hard to replace because they own and control a lot of the organization, and it's very difficult to find someone to replace that, and it's very, very time consuming and expensive. So a lot of companies come to us because this is a plug and play, and it makes it much more scalable and seamless in that regard. So All right, Dan,
Yep.
back to
Great point. Yep. And the other part of our HR 360 solution is the technology. It's the platform. We call it Insperity Premier. It's our proprietary HRS technology platform. I will tell you firsthand, it's user-friendly, super intuitive, and what's important for you or what's in it for you is it's one place for you and your employees to go for everything that we've talked about. Payroll, benefits, open enrollment, PTO, performance reviews, training. It's all accessible in the platform. There's dashboards. You're seeing a snapshot of the dashboard that you see when you log in. There's a ridiculous amount of reporting. I couldn't come up with a better word for that, but a lot of reporting, both out of the box and personalized reports, and actually the same technology that we use at Insperity, and we have 5,000 employees in our organization. I love this platform. I don't think I've ever had to reach out to our payroll folks or anybody else in the organization for questions because everything I need is right here. If I'm at the doctor's office and I forget my, medical card, I can pull up my app and access my medical card right there. It makes life so much easier. And time is money, right? So again, having one place to go and for you and your employees to go for everything frees up your time. You're not fielding questions, which is fantastic. Desktop and mobile app I mentioned as well. Tyson, did you have anything to add to that?
No, I mean, I think you
Okay.
covered it all. The only thing with the service team, I like to just explain that it is instead of an HR person down the hall, it's an entire HR department down the street. And so there's just so many more resources and expertise that you gain. There are so many, so a lot of companies, whether we see from when you're small all the way to the large companies that we work with, they're trying to do the same thing essentially is trying to grow and scale and move their business forward. And they need the only difference is the larger companies have access to tools and resources that the smaller companies that don't. And so that's really what we're bridging the gap of for those small and mid-sized companies. So, all right, Dan, go ahead.
Absolutely. So we thought it would also be helpful to, if you when you decide to make a move to a PEO and partner with a PEO, there are a few things you're definitely going to want to consider, right? First is the financial strength and security of the PEO. Again, Insperity has been around. We pioneered for 40 years. We pioneered the industry. We're pretty much the gold standard in our space. You want to consider whether or not they are a CPEO. I mentioned earlier that CPEO is accountable for tax filing accuracy. Some PEOs often are not. Obviously, the breadth and depth of benefit plan options, our direct relationship with United Healthcare means our clients have access to several plan options, including some very rich plans, as well as HDHPs, HSAs, FSAs. I could go on and on. But you just have access to a lot more plans and a lot more options, which is great because, as you all know, the plan that works for me may not be a good fit for Tyson, right? I had back surgery last year. I had to put some thought into, or this year, put some thought into what kind of plan I wanted and what would be the least out of pocket for me, given that I was getting major surgery done. So having options is very good. The technology and the resources they provide, again, you want the platform and the technology to be user-friendly and intuitive and have everything in one place. Their fee, service, and model structure. We talked about, the dedicated account team and the proactive service and accessibility. We have an 86% client retention rate and a 92, I think as of last month, Tyson, it was 92 customer satisfaction rate. Tell me if I have that wrong, 92, 93. Nevertheless, really, really good. That is also one of the reasons why I came here. When businesses come to Insperity, they don't leave because we take really, really good care of them. You also want to ask them about the fee structure, understand the fee structure, whether it's a flat fee or maybe a percentage of payroll, because percentage of payroll, if you grow and you pay your employees more money, you're going to be paying your PEO partner more money. Ours is a flat fee. And then the administrative experience and competence. I would highly recommend ask to speak with a member of their service team, whoever would be working with you. You'll learn a lot through that. Won't take you very long to decide whether you want to move forward with them or not. We always have new clients speak with somebody on our service team for that very reason. And then the fine print. Do they require multi-year commitment? The company that I worked at a few years ago did. We do not. We don't have a contract per se. We earn your business every 30 days. And the fact that we have a 92% customer satisfaction rate and an 86% client retention rate speaks to the fact that we don't really need a contract. We do our job. So I think that's all I have on that. Go ahead, Tyson. Sorry.
We do have a few questions in the chat.
Yeah.
So at least I imagine that's what you were jumping on for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am,
was gonna
but
say.
you're welcome to take the lead on it. Go for it.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So the question is, we currently have a payroll provider for our W-2s. Would you take over that workload as well, or only for employees provided by the PEO? The answer is yes. So part of the relationship in this PEO situation is that we do handle the payroll. So there are actually two things that we do have to take over from the IRS designate. That is the payroll and the workers' compensation. 95% of our clients want us to look at the benefits because it's such a huge discount and value proposition. But the payroll and the workers' comp are the two things that we do have to look at. There is a qualification process. So we have a vested stake in protecting our clients. So that is part of the evaluation at the beginning. It's very simple, collecting a few pieces of information. So great question there. And then the next question is, I imagine you have both union and non-union employees. How do you function when there is an effort to unionize? Does it prevent unionization? So I'll start with, we do work with companies that have unions. Absolutely. It's kind of a case-by-case basis because some union employees have a collective bargaining agreement, and we have to look at how the benefits are provided by that particular union. But if you're talking about an effort to unionize, that one's a little bit more specific. That would really be something that would require a conversation and kind of helping navigate that. But it is definitely something that our HR teams will help clients navigate. But again, that kind of goes back to, it is still your company. You make all of the decisions on everything with business operations. The other question, I think this was from the one from earlier. That was adding on. What is the typical pricing structure for a PEO service, for PEO services? So that kind of was answered by Dan's earlier statement, but I'll add a little bit to it think of it in the fact that we are taking over a lot of things that companies are already doing today. They're just doing it in a very fragmented way in having multiple vendors. A lot of times, the companies that we work with, we're consolidating down anywhere from 5 to 15 logins or vendors into our one place, our one Insperity location, which is a huge plus. But the fee structure is, we are handling a lot of areas that are costing the company money, and then we're getting discounts in areas like what they're spending in for their payroll provider. The workers' compensation is always an 8 to 10% discount from what you're currently spending today. The healthcare is, like Dan said, 3 or 4 points less than what you would have on the open market year over year. So there's those collective discounts that offset what we charge. And so it varies. Sometimes we're a net positive savings. Sometimes we're a small investment, but usually it kind of nets out to give you an idea about the cost of a part-time employee. And then the pricing structure, like Dan said, some PEOs charge a flat fee for their administrative, like we do, and then others charge a percentage of the payroll. So just differences. Okay, so do you have clients who use the entrepreneur operating system, otherwise known as, a lot of you might know as EOS? The answer is yes. We have a lot of companies that are using EOS. Traction's a great model if you've not looked into it before. That does not conflict with what we're doing. It actually kind of helps sometimes hand in hand. There are some areas that we do help or provide that kind of may overlap a little bit, but nothing that would prevent it. I've a quick client story. A company started 5 years ago with us. It was 9 employees, and we helped them grow, and they attribute a lot of their success up to quickly to 130 employees over 5 years. And last year they implemented EOS, and they were fans and they liked it. All right. So, maybe you stated it earlier, but is it all or nothing? Great question. It is not all or nothing. So we have different areas that we can work with companies. Some clients use us for payroll, workers' comp, and benefits. Some do not. So it's all kind of a case-by-case basis. Again, there is a qualification process. So we don't work with really, really risky companies. So like manufacturing dynamite, or if you're up on really high roofs or really far underground, those are excluded from the relationship. In those situations, we do have a mechanism where we would just carve out the workers' comp. So you'd keep your workers' comp policy and you'd still be able to work with us. So great question. Next question. Do you have compliance specialists for California-based businesses? The short answer is yes. We have, so the beauty of our model and the software aspect of it is that we have all of the rules and compliance aspects already built in for when you're looking to hire someone in California. That's already factored into their onboarding process. But then we do have specialists that are able to talk with you, our HR specialists that are specific in California. And then as it relates to benefits, this is something that when you have employees that are spread out across the country, a lot of times where your home base is sometimes where you're having to have your benefit options. We have flexibility and a wide variety of choices. So for our clients that have employees all over the country, if you're familiar with California, there's Kaiser plans, there's small HMOs that sometimes employees love those. And so you have that as an option with us. And without us, it's very, very difficult and costly and time consuming. And you usually just aren't able to provide that type of those choices. Okay, so next question. I get that some services have to be grouped together, but do you need to provide all services that you offer, or could you do a fee by leaving one or two services? Okay, so I kind of touched on that earlier. There is a little bit of flexibility there, but there are some services from the HR perspective. A lot of like what Dan was talking about is an all-inclusive service, and the why behind that decision was that our CEO recognizes that you don't, as a business, want to slow down and have to stop and think about, oh, well, you know what? I probably need a performance management system. I don't know how to implement it. Let me stop and figure out how that will work, how much that will cost. Can I pay for it? It is part of our solution. So when you need that, you have it. And we found that all of the things that are in there, you need at some point in your business life cycle. There are some extra things that we know most companies don't need that are an additional cost if you want to use those. One example is 401k. That's an option. Our clients love the option. Other things are like employee screening or background checks or an applicant tracking system, things like that.
I would imagine too, it's a benefit for the employee if they have like one place they go instead of like Oh, okay, this is this. I got to log in here to your point earlier about having 15 logins, which I think we can all agree eliminating the number of logins would be a good thing. So I
Yeah,
have a couple of things I want to touch on before, while I still have you. Um, for a lot of our members, tax credits and incentives is a thing. So from your perspective, if a company has tax credits or incentives today, would they lose those if they join Insperity?
great question. The answer is 99% of them. I'm confident saying that they would still be able to have those. I can't say it as a blanket statement because there are so many different states and regulations and constantly changing in credits that we'd have to evaluate that. But as a general rule, as long as it's legal and there's a payroll statute, then that would pass the sniff test.
Okay, so final question,
Hmm.
assuming that nothing else pops up here. Um, do you have you worked with any CSIA members so far? I'm curious.
Great question. Yeah. Dan, you want to take this one?
Yeah, absolutely. You may or may not be familiar with one of our clients here in St. Louis, Melisco Engineering. Steve, I think, was actively involved with CSIA. Recently rode off into the sunset and retired, but they've been a client for years and actually introduced us to CSIA, which is how we ended up here today, which we're obviously very excited about. So, yeah, they came to us because Steve and Nancy, his wife, who co-founded the company, again, were focused on growth and expanding kind of their offering as well. And they were, I'm trying to think how Steve put it to me. Uh, I don't know, getting bogged down with all the things that we've been talking about. And they were very excited to come on board and have referred quite a few other businesses our way as well. But yeah, they're one who I'm pretty close to here in St. Louis.
It's actually worth noting, that brings up a good point. A lot of companies that we work with, if they're looking at exiting the business, whether they're looking to sell to private equity or they're looking to, pass it down to a manager or a family member, credit a lot of the higher multiple to the Insperity relationship. And the reason for that is if we're thinking about private equity, they're looking at some things that they're interested in are speed of execution, if things are done correctly. And I mean, time is money in that world. And so with us, we have everything under one place. We can get them that information quickly so they can do their due diligence and financial reviews. But they also know that it's a company that is invested in their people. They want to take better care of their people. And a lot of private equity and venture capitalists now are really focused on that transition because it's very hard sometimes when you're bringing a company that has been with a firm for 20, 30 years and merging a culture together. So it's something that we work with a lot of uh, private capital markets. Yeah.
I would imagine it also reduces risk. They know it's not, Jenna from Costco over there running the payroll or what have you. So nothing against Jenna or Costco. All right, so I think that wraps it up. I think that's every question that we have. Dan does have his email here. If you do have questions that you want to maybe talk to him privately about, his phone number is there as well for you old school people. All right, but that's it. I'm gonna put my final slides up, and my colleague will put those up for us. But yeah, so on behalf of CSIA, I would like to thank our speakers, Tyson and Dan, for this informative discussion. And I would also like to thank Insperity for sponsoring the event. And of course, thank you for attending. Be sure to bookmark the CSIA events calendar so you don't miss any upcoming events. And that's a wrap. Once again, thank you for joining us and have a great day.